Welcome to the Yum Yum Yogi. Today we will be making deliciously divine and divinely delicious Tofurkey for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, my dear friends. And while we are at it, let's give thanks, and in gratitude, let's reflect on this thought. My heart is a sacred space which holds a love of truth, an appreciation of life, and the utmost regard for others. For this recipe, we need a lot of things, but let's start with cheesecloth. We need cheesecloth, we need a sturdy colander which has holes. I'm using stainless steel, it's medium sized, and we need about 8 packs of 16 ounces of firm tofu that go into the colander. Depending on the size of the colander, we need to use tofu accordingly. You might need more or less if your colander is big or small. And we need about 1/3 cup of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. Now, rinse and squeeze out as much water as possible from the tofu, like you're seeing on the screen, and we need to crumble this tofu. We have to crumble it in a way that it doesn't have any lumps there. Crumble it really fine, and to the crumbled tofu, add the soy sauce and the sesame oil and mix thoroughly. Now line a colander with cheesecloth, and the cheesecloth has to be folded into 2 parts. Like it has to be folded twice. Don't use a single cheesecloth, you fold it twice and then line the colander like you're seeing. Now we have to pack the colander with the tofu, and we have to pack it in a way that the tofu comes up about 2 or 3 inches above the colander like you're seeing there. See? That's how much. It should be totally packed, and it should be really high. You'd never think that much tofu would fit in that colander. That's how much. Now fold the cheesecloth over the top and place this colander with the tofu in a cookie sheet with sides so that it collects water there. And we have a wire rack so that it drains properly. We put the colander there, and we put a flat sheet on the colander. I'm using a cutting board, and I'm putting 2 10-pound weights. So it's about 20 pounds on there so that it drains water from the tofu into the cookie sheet, and we place this whole thing in the refrigerator for 24 hours. If you want it to be less time, then use extra firm tofu so that there isn't that much water to drain. About 12 hours into it, what I did was, see that's how much water got collected down there. I took out the cheesecloth from top, and what I did was I made sure all the tofu is in the colander and not hanging over the edges there, because then the water drains better. So if that's happening, make sure it doesn't happen and all the water gets drained out, because this step is very important. If you don't drain all the water out, the tofurkey will crumble while you're baking. Flatten it out really well. Again, fold the cheesecloth over, put the cutting board on, and put it in the refrigerator. It must be refrigerated. If it's outside, the tofu tends to spoil. So put it in the refrigerator for another 12 hours. So the whole thing took about 24 hours to drain. And that's how it looks. It's really nice and firm. And now for the stuffing, take 4 cups of croutons, or 2 cups of cabbage finely chopped, a cup of carrots, a cup and a half of celery, all of them finely chopped. And we need parsley, about 1/4 cup of parsley, which I forgot to mention here. Use black pepper and salt to taste, 2 teaspoons of thyme, about 2 tablespoons of fresh sage. Take 1/4 cup of vegan butter in a saucepan, and now saute on medium-high heat the cabbage, the carrots, and the celery. for about 3 minutes. Don't overcook it. Just 3 minutes should be good enough. Now add all of your herbs and spices. And the spices I use here are not only black pepper, but also ground cloves and ground nutmeg. And remember, for written recipes, you can go to the yumyumyogi.com. Saute properly till it's all done. And also we need to add a little bit of water. The sage is going in. The salt and black pepper to taste. And now thyme, about 2 teaspoons of thyme. At this point, you can add about 1.5 cups of water. Add the croutons, and here you also add the fresh parsley. Mix thoroughly. Add the spices. They're optional, of course. It really gives it a good flavor. The 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves and the 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And let this stuffing mixture cool before you stuff it into the tofurkey. Takes about half an hour to cool down. Now, leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the sides and the bottom and scoop out the rest of the tofu like you're seeing on the screen. And save the tofu because we are going to use some of it to pack the top again. Also pack the bottom, and the bottom should also be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches there. It should be totally nicely packed. And now pack this tofu with the stuffing. It has to be really packed. So add a little bit, pack it down, add another little bit, and pack it down there. Pack it down, then add a little bit, pack it down, and leave about 1 inch on top. You might have some leftover stuffing there. Now, to the inch on top, you top it off with the tofu mixture. And the tofu mixture also has to be packed inside. Nothing should be loosely left because when it's baking, if we don't pack it all down, it crumbles. And make the top flat again, there. Press it down and make it flat again. Now, line a cookie sheet with non-stick paper. It's easy to clean. Add a little bit sesame oil on the bottom. Now, make a basting sauce of 1/2 cup soy sauce and 1/4 cup sesame oil. Now, overturn that tofurkey into this cookie sheet as you're seeing on the screen. This is our favorite meal, the Thanksgiving meal in the center, and every Thanksgiving we make this tofurkey. It's a hit here. There, now baste the tofurkey with the basting sauce, and you would have had to have preheated the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And bake this in the oven for about 1 hour at 350, and about every 15 minutes or so. Pull it out a little bit and baste it again like you're seeing in the video. Like that. That gives a really nice crust to the tofurkey. This process every 15 minutes, and there, after 1 hour, it looks like that. Now cover it with foil and bake it for another hour at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That is so delicious, and it smells so wonderful in the kitchen when you're doing this. slice a piece. This is for your friends and family. Have a safe Thanksgiving, my dear viewers. And also remember to be grateful for everything and everyone we have in our lives. But before we do anything else, let's have this thought. My heart is a sacred space which holds a love of truth, an appreciation of life, and the utmost regard for others.